just going crazy, right? and he stuck beside me, y'all. He stuck beside me like, hey you guys, my name is Sierra and I am here with a very intimate story time. Now please disregard my appearance, lashes completely off, hair's not done, nails not done. Like, I'm coming before you guys very raw and unfiltered, but I really felt like there may need I really felt like there may be someone who may be currently also going through a similar situation, or maybe they've recently came out of a similar situation such as mine. As you guys can tell from the title, I will be talking about my very own prison relationship that came to an end. Now, I am going to kind of gloss over certain things just because I'll be sitting here forever telling y'all everything. But I feel like I can get out a lot of the main points, and the message that I want to leave is basically, hopefully, whoever's feeling hopeless, if someone is feeling like, there is no life after this failed relationship, or maybe I'll never get in another relationship, I want you to know that although that's your own personal decision to make, I want to encourage you, I want you to be empowered, and I want you to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I am a Christian, so there are two scriptures that I would love to leave with you guys that help me get through this trying time, that is currently helping me get through this trying time. Not only am I having to deal with the heartbreak of this relationship, but I've also recently been hit with some very traumatic news as well. So hopefully I won't be emotional during this video. I want to be able to get out to you guys what I want to get out without having that emotional interference. But the two scriptures that I want to say before you guys, and I wanted to type it on my computer so that I wouldn't forget. The first scripture comes from the book of Matthew. It's Matthew chapter 5:44, and it basically at the end of that particular scripture, it says to pray for those who despitefully use you. Right? And then there's another scripture that I absolutely love, and this has been something that I've really been applying to myself, especially as I'm going through my particular heartbreaks, right? And that is from the book of Psalms 147 verse 3, and it says he healeth the broken in heart and bindeth up their wounds. Man, when I tell y'all, that's some powerful stuff right there. Like, it has definitely been able to uplift me and keep me going. But without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into this story time. Okay, so I'm going to refer to my ex as D. I'll refer to him as D throughout this video. So D and I met on New Year's Eve of 2017. When I met D, okay, I wasn't even supposed to be in the area where he was at. I was already dealing with some stuff from a previous situation. And so my mind and my heart was not focused on meeting anyone, right? Because I was already dealing with another situation. But I ended up meeting D, and the night that I met him, like literally hours later, we were together, and that was a crazy situation. We had a very crazy night, morning, or whatever, and maybe I might make another story time on the night that D and I met, but we'll see. So anyway, so when I met D, D and I, let me say this, we are not from the same state. We don't live too far from each other, but we are not from the same state. So I was bringing in the new year with a former friend of mine, and I ended up at D's job, and that's how I met him. And yeah, so shortly after D and I met, because again, my intentions were not to deal with him, after I was dealing with a situation or whatever, shortly after D and I met, he had called another case. Now, D did tell me that he was dealing with a legal situation, and he was trying to take care of that. And honestly, like the night that we, so after New Year's Eve or whatever, I want to say, on New Year's Day, my former friend and I, we left, right? We left the area where D is from. And D and I, he had gave me, you know, we exchanged phone numbers and stuff like that. Well, he gave me his number, and so that's how I had reached out to him, and we had remained in contact or whatever. So just a few days after D and I met, he had caught another case, and this is when D and I pretty much ended up losing contact, because shortly after he caught that case, he and I, there was some discord. I had went off on him about a few different things, and so we had ended up stopped speaking. We stopped speaking, and in the summer of 2018 we reconnected. And so I was very open with D in the beginning, like, hey, you know what I'm saying, like, we don't know each other. And let me say this, when I reconnected with him, because I already knew he was going through a legal situation, I figured that he was going to be incarcerated. Now, I had never dealt with anybody while they was going through their bid. I had never did that. But because of the way D and I met, I thought it was so unique, and I honestly felt like maybe there was something, you know, really great behind this. I decided to reconnect, you know, take the steps to reach back out to him, which I did, and take the steps to reach out to him and, you know, reconnect, whatever. So we reconnected, and off the bat, like, D was kind of coming on strong, right? And I'm like, hey, you know what I'm saying, hold up. I had shared with this man, y'all, shared with him my past hurts, my triggers, and all these different things. And he gave me this reassurance, right? He's telling me, now this ain't gonna be nothing like your last situation, none of that. Like, he's really letting me know that he's all in. Matter of fact, he even said, man, I've been having you on my mind. He was like, when I got out, I was like, I'm gonna hit up, you know, Sierra, whatever and whatnot. So I'm like, whatever, you just telling me that. But this is what he was saying, like, and this man even hit me with different things. Like, he was like, how the night that we met, it was so unique to him because somebody had shared, basically the way that we met, I guess, somebody told D before I met him, you were going to meet your future wife in this location, whatever and whatnot, right? And so we hadn't met yet. And the way that I met D is how the person told him he would meet his wife. And so he told me when I had reconnected with him that summer of 18, he like, I know that you mind because it's already been manifested, like, you know, and everything like that, whatever, whoop-de-whoop. And of course, I know about jail talk and all that. You know what I mean? Like, even though I had never been with somebody while they was doing a bid, everybody out I'm being with, you know what I'm saying? And it's sad to say they have pretty much all been incarcerated. So, even though, you know what I'm saying, I knew about the jail talk, I honestly felt like this was a divine, genuine connection. And I remember, like, because of the fact that I am spiritual, so I find myself praying about any and everything. And I remember praying and, like, feeling like, well, maybe I was being led by the spirit or whatever, to D. Like, I was feeling like, okay, maybe everything D is telling me is legit, you know what I mean? And he was telling me, like, I'm gonna be patient with you, all these different things, anything that you would want to hear, right? Somebody who comes from a past of trauma and things like that, like, him providing me with that reassurance during that time, I honestly felt like, okay, maybe this was it. And so we jump in, y'all. Like, we doing this prison relationship. I'm letting him know, like, I ain't never did nothing like this, but I want to go through this journey with you. During the time when I got with him, this is before he was even sentenced. So he knew of all the possibilities of what he could, you know, he knew the times of what he could be looking at, but he didn't know for sure because he was never sentenced at this time, right? And so I had still committed, like, you know what, I'm gonna be all in. I believe the maximum that he could have been given was like 5 or so years. But because of the fact that I felt like in my spirit, right, that D and we was gonna rock out, you know what I mean? So I went in, jumped in. And I remember D telling me, like, maybe a month or so after we had been speaking, he like, I don't want to hit you too heavy or whatever. He like, but I ain't gonna lie, like, I love you. He like, you know, he was the first one to say I love you and stuff. And he like, you know, I just love your spirit and everything, and you as a person, and I see what you're doing, whatever, whoop-de-whoop. He was like, you know, that's just what it is on my end. And he knew that I was nervous about that, right? And so I remember, like, in the beginning, he would be telling me, you know, after he had first told me he loved me the first time, then he would just start making it a routine thing. And I always became silent, y'all, because I didn't know what to say. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't want to really, I felt like, I didn't really want to open up myself too soon. And I felt like we ain't got nothing but time. So let's get to know each other. Because y'all, I did not know this man. We did not know each other. So we literally were in this relationship, prison relationship, long distance prison relationship, trying to get to know each other. You know what I mean? And let me say, initially when I met D, when we first met, he lied to me about his age by 1 year. Now, I know you're probably thinking 1 year, typically when people lie, it's about 3 to 5 plus year difference. Either they go higher, 3 to 5 years or more, or they go, or lower, whatever. I just did that backwards, but y'all know what I meant. So yeah, but I ended up forgiving him for all that. And I ain't gonna lie, I was not the nicest person to deal with in this relationship, y'all. I told y'all I came from trauma and stuff like that. So I always thought, especially, mind you, I did not know this man, okay? We were getting to know each other through a long distance prison relationship, okay? He lied to me about his age by 1 year and swore to God and everything behind it. Found out he was lying. And so I came into it with trust issues, not believing him, questioning his every move almost. It was almost like doomed from the start, I guess you can say. I don't know. But so we're moving forward, and we started to have bumps and hurdles along the way. I'm starting to think that he lying about everything. I can't take his word for it and whatnot. And we just had this very rocky, literally a roller coaster relationship. When it was high, I'm talking about it was good. We was there. You know what I mean? Like, it was up there. Something that he always said was like, I was his saving grace. He told me, you my angel, because from the moment that we reconnected, I wanted to let him know that I was serious about getting to know him and things like that. This is before we had said we was gonna get together. I'm like, I just want to look at, I want you to be my friend. Like, I want us to build a friendship, and I want you to know that I'm all in. So what is it that you need? I know that he behind bars, whatever, he can't make nothing really shake like that. You know what I mean? Well, some people can. That's another story. Not this story time, but I just wanted him to see that I was all in. So I instantly started putting money on his books, all this, you know what I mean? And it was a consistently thing, Okay, so yes, I started consistently putting money on his books. This man had never asked me for anything. Let me go ahead and say that. He never asked me. But I wanted to do that again because I felt like I wanted him to know, you know what I'm saying, that I was serious, that I was all in with him. So I have a child, which he knew about. This was never a secret. I'm a very open person when it comes to that, I let people know if I'm dating, like I have a child. And so my thing is, I don't introduce my child to the men that I date unless I know, or unless I feel that it could be something that could be long term. And he knew that. And so I had stressed to him, like, I don't think that my child should be coming with me and everything like that for visitation, because at this point we were already talking about making let's start up visits and things like that or whatever. And so I share with him, no, let's not do that. But he felt like, there would be no issue why my child shouldn't come to visitation. He would always say, well, when I'm home, because the plan was for him to home plan with me or whatever. And he kept saying, well, when I'm home, I don't want it to be awkward or uncomfortable for your child, for her to know, like, okay, this man that mom has been with or whatever over the phone and goes down to visit, and then boom, is now living in my home or whatever. So he definitely made me feel like, okay, this would be okay, because we were literally talking about, long term. Now, again, initially I wanted to try to slow down, but I ain't gonna lie, like, feelings, people might question, how do you develop feelings with somebody who's in a prison cell, right? Believe it or not, when you in prison, communication is all you got. So when I tell you, like, me and this man, between the letters, the constant over the phone, you know what I'm saying, between, of course, even when you have visitation and stuff like that, you get to know a person pretty well. Well, let me say this. You get to know a lot about them. Now, they could be putting on this whole facade, right? So the person that you may be getting may be their representative. and not the actual them. But you get to know a lot about a person when you guys are constantly communicating. You know what I mean? And somebody even said, I can't remember who it was on YouTube, but they was like, prison relationships can sometimes, you'll probably know more about a person when you have that versus then, you know, when you're maybe in a free world in a relationship. And I understood what they meant. They was just saying that because communication is all you have in prison, you know, so the relationships can grow pretty strong, right? So I went against my better judgment, y'all, and started bringing my daughter to visits and everything. And I was all in or whatever. And we started hitting those rocky roads, y'all, like my trust issues and stuff. I'm going off and I ain't gonna lie, I'm cussing them out and whatnot. Yes, I'm a saint, but Lord, look, okay. So I would stop, not trusting him and all kind of stuff, questioning different things and just going crazy, right? and he stuck beside me, y'all. He stuck beside me. Like, we would break up. It was always me breaking up. Okay. He may have broke up with me one time, but throughout the whole time he was down all them years, like, it was me, pulling the plug or whatever. And then it would be me. I'm sorry, let's get back together. I'm sorry. All that or whatever. And we would end up, getting back together, whatever and whatnot. But, we hit a lot of bumpy roads. And I think for me, when I started to see that he was not really who he was portraying, one of the things that I don't like about, that I can say that I disliked about him, okay? And I did see that in the beginning too, right? He's the type that, well, I can't say with everybody else, but with me, right? When we was on bad terms, he had shut down. I'm talking about, I was going through some traumatic situations where I just needed him. I cried out to this man, pleaded to this man, y'all, and this man did not hit me. Didn't respond to none of my letters, none of that. Like, he can be like real stubborn and he'll get in them moods where it's like he can go without talking to me. And you can't have none of that. Everybody know when you in a prison relationship, again, communication is all you have. So you cannot be on the outs with your loved one like that. The one who you rocking with, you know what I mean? And I understand a lot of times I would cause it because I would be acting crazy, y'all. But that's why I'm going through my little therapy. Let me go ahead and slide that in for folks who be speaking against therapy. Please get the help that you need so that you can be your best self, okay? And let me know if you need some therapists. I might be able to shoot you out something that, they doing the telecommunicating and all that, Anyways, back to the story time. So I was a lot to handle. When I told him that initially, it wasn't like he was jumping into something that he didn't know. But y'all, this man pretty much played with me for years, right? So, and whenever like he would need me, if we wasn't speaking, right? But whenever he was going through something, he hit me, I always responded. What is it that I can do? What is, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always came through. And I just, as I'm looking back, I did not get that same type of love. Like, this man literally set up and sold me dreams. Sold me a whole fairy tale. Like, we were supposed to get married. I remember going through the motions of like the paperwork, y'all. I had sent him so I had sent him paperwork because we were going to do a proxy marriage. And we had to get it notarized. And so he said that he had went to the notary or whatever, but they had refused it. Now, this is common. It is common that, at some prisons or wherever you at, they may refuse to notarize. And in that case, then you would have to deal with an attorney. I did think about going through the process of, getting an attorney or whatever to get us, approved and get us married. But at this particular time, I think, he had only had, just like a little over a year or something like that left. So I was just like, okay, well, let's just wait, or whatever. Once you get home, we can go ahead and take care of it then. Y'all, this man informs a whole strong bond with my child. Was supposed to be moving here, right? Like, I did all kind of different things. It ain't even enough that I could put into this story time. But one thing that I can tell you is that I gave this man my all. Like, legit gave him my all. And he played on that. And I thought that he was, for real too, because certain things that he had did on his end made me feel like a little secure, and I think one of the biggest things he, kept speaking on or whatever that kind of made me feel like, okay, maybe he is legit is when he went and got my name big as hell tatted across his neck or whatever. And I know people are like, well, that doesn't show any type of loyalty or whatever. What does that prove? And I'm going to tell you something. It really don't mean nothing, because once me and this man got into it, okay, don't you know that he went and got that shit covered up? Like, when we was on when we was on the outs, he went and got that covered up in like weeks. I don't know. Like he had it for a little minute. And then once we had got into it and broke up, and I guess he was like, I thought you was gone forever. I didn't think you was coming back. He was like, then I went to go get it covered or whatever. So he went and got a rose over my name or whatever. But I still have pictures of my name, y'all. Not that means anything, but let me just go ahead and say this, because I done made this story time hella long, okay? And that was never the intention. The point is, this man sold me a whole bunch of lies and dreams and all these different things, formed a relationship with my child, was trying to introduce me to his family and things like that. He felt like, I guess, that was giving me security. And I was believing certain stuff, or whatever, but everything went to, I don't know, I don't want to cuss, but, everything did like a crash and burn, because he did not home plan to my home. Okay, we was on the outs when they brought him the paperwork, but we was constantly breaking up and getting back together, and he just made a lot of promises that he did not come through for. I fell for it. And yeah, and when he got out of prison, we wasn't speaking. We tried to work things out some months ago, right? We tried to make things work again, but I didn't like his certain, he was just moving a little funny, and it's just a lot. I found out a lot about him while he was incarcerated and doing his time, whatever and whatnot. And I just honestly feel like the whole situation for him and I, when I see how he really handled me once he got released. And here's the big thing. A person can sit up and tell you anything all day while they in that cell. You got to see them when they free. People used to ask me all the time, Sierra, do you recommend, me in this relationship, or do you recommend prison relationships? Even when I was in my prison relationship, I told folks, no, I do not recommend nobody getting no prison relationship, because you don't really know a person until you are around that person. And then I've seen it go both ways. Like, maybe this person really is genuine and pure while they're in prison, but when they touch them streets and they get their sense of freedom and stuff like that, things change. And so, like, fast forwarding with my situation, we tried to get in a relationship again a few months back, and that didn't rock because of different things with him and I or whatever, and I pulled the plug on that. But this man got out of prison and never contacted me. None of that. You know what I mean? Everything was not what he said it was. And I ended up reaching out to him when tragedy struck in my life again. And y'all, this man was not there. Like, he ain't there. He wasn't concerned about my child, not I or nothing. So I want you guys to know, though, as a person who went through a relationship where I thought this man was going to be my happily ever after, and I gave this man years and I invested in this relationship and it crashed and burned, I want you to know that I'm still here today moving forward. So I want to give you hope. I want to give you guys encouragement. If anybody wants to reach out to me, I am on IG. That's my only social media. It is _CCCECE God's First, and that's 1ST _. So _CC God's First _ at the beginning and at the end. That's enough, I guess, of my story time. I just wanted to give you guys some encouragement, let you know, if you're going through a similar situation, please know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Even though I went through my situation, I still have no regrets about anything. That situation taught me so much and gave me so much wisdom. And yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy this story time. If you have any questions or want to continue the dialogue, drop the comments down. Let's discuss. Let's talk. Are you in a prison relationship? Did your relationship work? Did it fail? Do you know someone who's in a prison relationship? Are you contemplating a prison relationship? Well, you guys already know how I feel about that, but we can definitely keep the conversation going. If you have a question or anything like that, if anybody needs prayer, please DM me on IG. I do prayer requests and all that. So much love to everyone. I hope that there's some type of I don't know, message that you can take from this. If not, I apologize. There may be more story times to come, but I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.